The clerk at Window 7 had probably processed 10,000 divorces, but even she looked nervous when my wife placed 99 photographs on the counter. In every photograph, I was dead. One showed me beneath the wreckage of a private jet. Another showed my name on a prison record. A third showed a hospital bracelet tied around a wrist that had already gone cold. Each picture came from a life that should no longer have existed. Selene Voss stood beside me in a white executive suit, her silver hair falling over one shoulder and her pale blue eyes fixed on the divorce form in my hand. "You told me this is your 100th life," she said. "You told me I destroyed the other 99. The courthouse became so quiet that I could hear the clerk stop breathing. Selene pushed a pen toward me. "I will sign. But first, look at me and answer one question. If you hate me enough to cross 100 lifetimes just to escape me, why did you come back when the building was burning?"
I had spent 99 lives preparing to go home. I had survived betrayal, prison, bankruptcy, explosions, and one extremely insulting death involving a decorative fountain. Yet when freedom finally sat one signature away, I had no answer. 3 days earlier, I woke to the sound of a system laughing at me. Ding! Final attempt initialized. Welcome to Loop 100, host Rowan Hale. I opened my eyes and found myself in the executive boardroom of Asterion Robotics. The same winter rain covered the same glass walls. The same 12 directors sat around the same black table. My wife occupied the chair at the far end, looking young enough to be mistaken for a graduate student and cold enough to bankrupt anyone who made that mistake. Selene was 24, 2 years younger than me, with long silver-white hair, blue eyes, and the kind of face magazines described as delicate, right before explaining that she had acquired 3 competitors before breakfast. She had inherited a collapsing technology company at 19 and turned it into a $40 billion empire. The city called her the Snow Queen. I was 26, lean, gray-eyed, and permanently stuck with messy black hair that no executive stylist could tame. Together, we looked far younger than the marriage contract and corporate wars surrounding us. I called her the final boss. Beside her stood Julian Mercer, Asterion's elegant blonde chief strategy officer, and the man the original story had selected as her destined partner. He wore a navy suit, a concerned expression, and the invisible halo enjoyed by every professional homewrecker in a romance novel. On the screen behind him was a confidential design for Asterion's new solid-state battery. The same design had appeared on a competitor's server that morning. The digital signature attached to the leak belonged to me. Julian lowered his eyes as if exposing me caused him physical pain.
Rowan has always treated me like a rival, but I never imagined he would damage Selene's company just to force me out. There it was. The opening accusation. In my first loop, I spent 11 hours proving the signature was forged. Selene believed me for 3 days. Then a witness changed his testimony, and I lost anyway. In loop 12, I caught the hacker before the leak occurred. The building caught fire, the backup vanished, and I lost anyway. In loop 46, I moved us to another country. Julian appeared there as the keynote speaker at our hotel. In loop 73, I avoided Selene completely. The system punished me for abandoning the mission by dropping a billboard on my taxi. In loop 99, I did everything perfectly. I saved Asterion, exposed Julian, earned Selene's trust, and reached 98 affection points. On Founders Night, she received one anonymous recording, accused me of manipulating her, and signed our divorce agreement before I could finish a sentence. Then I woke in this boardroom again. "Host," the system said inside my head. "This is your final opportunity to make the target choose you freely before Founders Night. Success will return you to your original world with full rewards. Failure will result in permanent deletion. Please approach the mission seriously." I rested my cheek against one hand. Define permanent deletion. Your soul will cease to exist. That still sounds more relaxing than another marriage counseling session. "Host!" I had once been terrified of disappearing. After 99 loops, oblivion sounded like a resort with excellent privacy. Selene tapped one finger against the table. "Rowan, do you have an explanation?" Every person in the room looked at me. Julian was waiting for me to argue. Selene was waiting for evidence. The system was waiting for me to begin attempt number 100. Instead, I opened my briefcase. It contained no defense documents. I had filled it with divorce applications. There were standard applications, expedited applications, copies with colored tabs, 2 waterproof copies, and 1 laminated version because in Loop 31, Selene had thrown a vase and destroyed the only form I had prepared. I slid one across the table. My explanation is that I am exhausted, I said. Fire me, sue me, blame me for the leak if that helps. But sign this first. I want a divorce. Julian's rehearsed sympathy disappeared for half a second. The directors whispered. Selene did not move. I pushed the pen closer. I waive all property claims. I surrender my shares. I will leave the penthouse today. You can keep the car, the art, the wedding gifts, and the coffee machine that only obeys you. I want my passport, my black jacket, and legal proof that I am no longer your husband. Selene's eyes moved from the form to my face. You are accused of stealing a prototype, and your first concern is divorce? My first concern has been divorce for several lifetimes. This is simply the first time I have organized the paperwork properly. Julian stepped forward. Selene, perhaps Rowan is overwhelmed. We should investigate before making an emotional decision. I stared at him. This man had spent 99 lives trying to remove me. Now that I was removing myself, he wanted an investigation. There should be a law against incompetent villains. No investigation, I said quickly. Julian is right about everything. I leaked the battery design. I stole the office yogurt. I changed the lobby music. I am responsible for the weak Wi-Fi on the 23rd floor. My crimes have no limit. One director coughed into his fist to hide a laugh. Julian's jaw tightened. This is not a joke. Then stop wasting time and win. His eyes sharpened. He understood that sentence, although he should not have. Selene noticed. What does that mean? It means Mr. Mercer has presented a convincing case. Reward him. Promote him. Marry him if the calendar is open. The room erupted. Selene slowly stood. She was not tall, but entire boards had collapsed under that movement. She walked around the table and stopped in front of me. For 99 lives, I had learned every variation of her anger. The slight narrowing of her eyes meant she was calculating. The stillness of her hands meant someone would be fired. The small lift of her chin meant I should update my will. This time she looked frightened. Why are you talking as though you already know what happens next? She asked. My heart stumbled once. The system issued a warning tone. Disclosure of loop information is prohibited. Violation will trigger neurological correction. I smiled. Because the next step is obvious. You believe Julian. You remove me from the company. We divorce. Everyone gets what they want. Is that what you think I want? I have a statistically significant sample. Pain exploded behind my eyes. The system did not appreciate indirect disclosures. I gripped the edge of the table until the room stopped tilting. Selene reached toward me, then stopped before touching my arm. That tiny hesitation surprised me more than the pain. In the other loops, she grabbed first and asked questions later. Search the signature chain, she ordered. Julian went pale. We already did. You gave me a summary. I want the raw access records, the physical security logs, and the original device. No one leaves this room. That had never happened before. My system flickered. Narrative deviation, 3.4%. I looked at Selene. She had returned to her chair, but her attention was no longer on Julian's evidence. It was on me. 20 minutes later, the security chief connected an archived access log to the screen. The leak had been sent with my credentials, but the authentication token had originated from Julian's private terminal at 2:13 in the morning. Julian recovered quickly. My terminal was cloned. Rowan had access to my office during the product meeting. Correct, I said. Very suspicious. Arrest me before he produces something even less convincing. Selene ignored me. Play the corridor footage. The camera showed Julian entering his office at 2:06. At 2:18, he left, carrying a silver data drive. One of the directors leaned back. Mr. Mercer, was your terminal cloned while you were sitting in front of it? Julian's expression remained smooth, but a pulse jumped at his temple. The timestamp must have been altered. Then we will ask an independent forensic team, Selene said. Until they finish, your access is suspended. He stared at her. In 99 loops, she had never investigated him this early. Neither had I. And Rowan? Julian asked. His resignation proves consciousness of guilt. His resignation proves he wants to leave. Selene picked up the divorce application. I intend to discover why. She tore nothing. She did something worse. She folded the paper, placed it inside her jacket, and said, I refuse. The system emitted a sound like a computer swallowing a fork. Mission route recalculating. I stood. You cannot simply refuse forever. Legally, no. Practically, I can refuse today. I have more copies. I assumed you did. There is one in every room of the penthouse. I know. That stopped me. How? For the first time, Selene looked away. Because I found the one inside the flower container last night. I had hidden that copy during Loop 84. Before I could question her, she ended the meeting and ordered the directors out. Julian paused at the door. His polite mask returned, but his eyes remained fixed on me. You are making a mistake, he told Selene. Then the mistake is mine to investigate.
When the door closed, the room felt too large. Selene placed both palms on the table. You have been different for 3 months. I woke up this morning. You stopped drinking coffee in February. You began checking ceilings whenever you entered a hotel. You refused to stand beside fountains. Last week, while you were asleep, you apologized to me for a fire that never happened. I said nothing. She continued, quieter now. And I have been dreaming about your deaths. The system shrieked. Unauthorized memory contamination detected. So that was the change. Selene opened the locked drawer beneath the conference table and removed a black notebook. Inside were dates, sketches, fragments of conversations, and descriptions of events from previous loops. A collapsed bridge, a courtroom, a burned laboratory, my face behind prison glass. I started writing them down 6 months ago, she said. Every morning, the details faded. The notebook did not. Last night, I dreamed you placed divorce papers inside our flour because you believed I would never cook. This morning, I checked. They were there. I looked at the system interface only I could see. Memory firewall integrity, 61%. For 99 loops, the system had erased the world clean. Apparently, even perfect machines became careless after repeating the same tragedy enough times. Selene studied my face. Tell me what is happening. I cannot. You mean you will not? No. I mean something inside my head will punish me if I try. The pain returned instantly, sharper than before. Warm blood touched my upper lip. Selene came around the table. This time she reached for me slowly enough that I could move away. When I did, she stopped. Her hand closed into a fist at her side. All right, she said. I will not touch you. I will not force an explanation. But until I understand why my husband expects me to ruin him, I will not sign anything. And if understanding takes a month, then you can file through the court. I tried that in Loop 17. Agony ripped through my skull. My knees struck the carpet. Selene caught the chair instead of me, respecting the boundary even while panic crossed her face. The system's voice turned cold. Final warning. Direct disclosure will result in host termination. I wiped the blood from my mouth and laughed once. Wonderful. My marriage has terms and conditions. Selene crouched several feet away, so our eyes were level. Then do not tell me. Let me prove it myself. Prove what? That this life does not have to end the way the others did. I had heard promises in almost every loop. None survived the plot. I took a fresh divorce form from the inside pocket of my coat and placed it between us. Sign this, I said, and you will not have to prove anything. She picked it up, folded it with precise care, and added it to the first. No. By noon, everyone at Asterion knew 2 things. Julian Mercer had been suspended, and I carried divorce papers the way other people carried business cards. I discovered the second fact when a junior accountant stopped me in the elevator. Vice Chairman Hale, she whispered. Is it true you keep 20 applications in your briefcase? 32. I believe in preparation. And Mrs. Voss refused all of them? So far. Would you like one? She fled on the next floor. My plan was simple. If Selene refused to believe I was guilty, I would give her a reason to stop wanting me. Not by harming her company or another person. I had made enough destructive choices across 99 lives. This time, I would become useless. The system wanted devotion. I would offer indifference.
I went to my office, transferred every active project to competent managers, and changed my status to indefinite leave. Then I ordered fried chicken, placed my feet on the desk, and opened a fishing game. At 2, Selene entered without knocking.
You canceled 6 meetings. 7. The procurement team has not noticed theirs yet. You reassigned the Orion launch. Mina has done the actual work for months. She deserves the credit. You gave your voting proxy to the employee trust. The employees make better decisions than I do. I married my boss. She looked at the chicken, the game, and the slippers I had purchased from the gift shop downstairs. What exactly is your plan? Unemployment? Eventually divorce? Perhaps a small apartment near a noodle shop? You own half the penthouse. Not after you sign Form B. I pulled a folded application from beneath the chicken bucket. Selene stared at it. Does every object you own contain divorce paperwork? Only the important ones. She took the form, but instead of keeping it, she read every line. You requested no property, no support, and no compensation for the years you worked here without taking a salary. Correct. Why? Because every asset in this world feels borrowed. The answer slipped out before I could stop it. Her face changed. This world? The system sparked behind my eyes. I clenched my teeth until the pain passed. Selene set the form down. I am going to ask you one thing, and you may nod or shake your head. Were you born here? The system displayed a warning but did not attack. I shook my head. She inhaled slowly. Do the dreams show previous lives? I nodded. Did I hurt you in them? For the first time that day, I could not make a joke. I nodded. Selene's fingers tightened around the form. Did I ever believe you? I remembered Loop 8, when she visited me in jail but accepted Julian's evidence. Loop 34, when she begged me to confess to a crime I had prevented. Loop 99, when she looked at me with 98 points of affection and still chose fear over trust. Sometimes, I said, just never when it mattered most. The system punished the sentence with a burst of pain, but I remained standing. Selene folded the form again. Then I understand why you want to leave. Hope rose inside me. Will you sign? No. Hope died with impressive efficiency. She placed the application into her pocket. Understanding why you want something does not mean I will make the decision while both of us are being manipulated. Give me 30 days. Founders' Night is in 27. Her eyes sharpened. How did you know that deadline matters? I focused on my fishing game. Lucky guess. Then give me 27 days. After that, if you still want a divorce, I will sign it without conditions. I will also return everything you gave up. Put it in writing. You do not trust my word. I used to. That hurt her. I saw it, and some old reflex wanted to soften the sentence. 99 lives had trained me to protect her emotions even while she broke mine. I killed the reflex. Selene deserved the truth more than comfort. She took my pen and wrote the promise across the bottom of the divorce application. Then she signed her name beneath it. It was not the signature I wanted, but it was the first promise from her I could enforce. 27 days, she said. Fine, but I am not returning to work. Fine, I am moving out. Her mouth tightened. Fine, I am taking the coffee machine. Absolutely not. At last, there was the cold CEO I remembered. I moved into a modest apartment that evening. Selene did not stop me. She sent security to ensure Julian's people could not follow, but she stayed away after I asked for space. That should have made the next 27 days easy. At midnight, someone slid an envelope beneath my door. Inside was a photograph of me sleeping in a hospital bed during Loop 62. On the back, someone had written one sentence. You were never supposed to reach 100. I checked the hallway. It was empty. The photograph was real. In Loop 62, I had been poisoned during a product launch and spent 9 days in a private clinic. Selene visited once, stood outside the glass, and left when Julian told her the poison was intended for him. No camera in the current world could have captured that room because the clinic had been demolished 2 loops ago. System, I said. Someone remembers. No response. System? The blue interface appeared, but the usual mission page had been replaced by a loading symbol. Administrative maintenance in progress. You picked a convenient time for maintenance. I photographed the message and sent it to Selene with no explanation. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then she called.
I declined. She did not call again. Instead, she texted, "Are you safe?" I answered, "For tonight." Her next message arrived after a long pause. "May I send 2 guards to the building entrance? They will not enter your floor." The question mattered. In other loops, Selene would have ordered protection and called my resistance childish. This Selene asked. I typed, "1 guard, plain clothes, no reports about where I go unless there is an immediate threat." Agreed. I slept with a chair beneath the door handle and dreamed of my original world. Before the system dragged me into this novel, I had been Rowan Park, an ordinary software engineer. Avoiding an oncoming bus somehow placed me inside the body of a fictional husband. The system promised I could return if Selene chose me freely, and I believed it. I courted her, saved her life, and made myself indispensable. By loop 50, love had become research, research had become labor, and labor had become a prison. At 7 the next morning, the smell of toasted bread woke me. I reached for a lamp as a weapon before remembering I did not own one. Selene stood in my kitchen. "Before you accuse me of breaking in," she said, "your landlord let me inside because my name is still on your emergency contact form." "That is breaking in with paperwork." "I brought breakfast." "That is trespassing with carbohydrates." She placed a plate on the small table and stepped back. She wore a gray coat over a black turtleneck, her silver hair tied low. Without her executive suit, she looked younger and more tired. I noticed the dark circles beneath her eyes. "Did you sleep?" "No." "Good. Now we are both making bad decisions." I handed her the envelope. She examined the photograph without touching its surface. "This is one of my dreams." "Tell me what you remember." "You were poison. I believed you had attacked Julian and accidentally contaminated your own drink." "Close enough." "I left you alone." "Also correct." She stared at the image. "Did you die?" 3 days later, her shoulders went rigid. "Do not apologize for a life you cannot remember," I said. "I have collected enough apologies to wallpaper this apartment." "Then what do you want me to do?" "Find out who delivered the photograph." Selene nodded. No speech, no promise. She placed it in an evidence sleeve and called the one investigator she trusted outside Asterion. The investigator found no fingerprints, no useful camera footage, and no record of anyone entering the building. But the envelope contained microscopic silver fibers used in Asterion's prototype clean room. Julian had supervised that facility for 2 years. I expected Selene to order his arrest. Instead, she said, "Evidence that convenient is usually bait." That was new, too. "Congratulations," I said. "It only took 100 lives for you to become suspicious of the correct person." She accepted the blow without defending herself. I earned that. Her calm irritated me more than an argument would have. "You do not know what you earned." "Then show me." "I cannot. Not with words, with your behavior, your fear." "The places you refuse to visit." "I can learn without making you relive every death." I looked at her carefully. "Why?" "Because someone has been using both of us. Because I do not know whether my choices were mine. And because even if they were manipulated, I was still the person who made them." That answer kept me silent. Selene left after breakfast. She did not ask to return home. She did not ask me to forgive her. She took the evidence and went to work. I went to the courthouse. I had tried filing unilaterally before. The system froze the legal calendar and reset the same day until I withdrew the petition. It cared about an approved ending, not national law. This time, however, its interface was still malfunctioning. At the courthouse desk, I filed a petition citing irretrievable breakdown. The clerk accepted it. No reset occurred. Narrative deviation, 18.7%. For the first time, the cage had a crack. I was leaving the courthouse when Julian's car stopped beside the curb. He lowered the window. "Get in." "That line works better when you have candy." "We need to discuss the photograph." I entered. His driver raised the privacy screen, and Julian's pleasant expression vanished. "You were supposed to defend yourself yesterday." I lost interest. "That is not allowed." He removed a silver cufflink and placed it between us. A red interface projected above his palm. Secondary narrative manager detected. My system finally returned. Its voice trembled. "Avoid contact. The entity is unauthorized." Julian smiled.
Yours calls me unauthorized. Mine calls you an obsolete test subject. Systems can be so rude.
I had spent 99 lives believing Julian was merely a selfish man protected by the plot. The truth was worse. He could see the machinery. "Do you remember the loops?" I asked. "I receive reports after each reset, your choices, Selene's responses, and how you failed. I improved my role while you exhausted yourself playing husband. Your performance in the boardroom did not look improved." His smile tightened. "Because you stopped following your pattern. Defending yourself activated her fear. Pursuing her strengthened my role. Walking away broke the emotional circuit." "So reverse psychology broke the universe?" "Detachment broke the emotional circuit. She was never meant to remember." I thought of the black notebook. What happens if she remembers everything? Julian's expression darkened. The archive collapses into the active world. She receives 99 lives of grief, and the system may delete this timeline. Convenient threat? Ask your system. I did. The blue interface remains silent. Julian leaned closer. "Return to the mission. Raise her affection to 100 and close the story. I will step aside." "Why would you help me?" "Because I am trapped too. Complete the route, go home, and leave me the world that remains." "And Selene?" "She will remember this life only. She will grieve for a while, then move on." "Do not pretend you were selfless," he added. "You pursued her for a reward. We differ only in degree." Part of that was true. I had entered Selene's life with a mission and measured even real feelings on a system screen. "Perhaps," I said, "but I am no longer playing." I opened the door at a red light. Julian caught my sleeve. "If you continue the divorce, I will force a correction event. People will die. Then their deaths belong to you. Selene will be first." I looked at his hand until he released me. "Try it," I said. "After 99 loops, I know every way your story kills her. You only know the versions your reports allowed you to see." It was a bluff. A confident bluff, but still a bluff. Julian believed enough of it to let me go. Selene called that afternoon. "The court notified me. Technology is amazing. You promised 27 days. I promised to wait for your signature. The court has its own schedule."
She was silent. I expected anger.
"All right," she said. "I will not contest the filing." I nearly dropped the phone. "Who are you, and where did you hide my wife?" "I said I would not force you. I meant it. The hearing is in 26 days, the morning after Founders' Night. That still gives me the time you agreed to. You found a loophole. I learned from your system." I should not have smiled. I did anyway. That evening, Selene held a press conference about the prototype leak. She publicly cleared my name and announced an external audit of Asterion's executive office, including her own decisions. She did not mention Julian's name until evidence was complete. The board hated it. The stock fell 6%. Commentators called her weak for allowing an independent team access to internal records. She accepted all of it. In the other loops, Selene protected the company first and truth second. This time, she put the truth where shareholders could examine it. I watched from my apartment while eating noodles from the pot. At the end, a reporter asked, "Mrs. Voss, are rumors of a marital separation true?" Selene looked directly into the camera. "My husband has filed for divorce. I respect his right to do so. This is a private matter, and I will not use my position to pressure him." No tears, no public declaration, no possessive claim. Then she added, "But until a court says otherwise, Rowan Hale is still my husband. Anyone who threatens him to influence this investigation will answer to me." My phone buzzed. Julian had sent one message. "Correction begins tonight." At 11:47, the power failed across the Eastern District. I stood immediately. In 12 previous loops, a blackout on this date preceded an explosion in Asterion's battery laboratory. The accident killed 17 technicians and destroyed evidence linking Julian to the prototype leak. I had prevented it in 7 different ways. The story always found another spark. I called Selene. "Evacuate Lab 4. "Why?" "Do it now. Shut down the thermal chambers manually. Do not use the central network." She did not ask for proof. I heard her issuing orders while running. I grabbed my coat and reached the underground laboratory 12 minutes later. Emergency lights painted the corridors red. Employees moved toward the exits while Selene stood at the control junction with the chief engineer. Chamber 4 is not responding, the engineer said. The backup coolant valve is locked. It is not locked, I said. The display is lying. The manual release is behind the west insulation panel. Both stared at me. How do you know? He asked. I have died here 4 times. The system struck me so hard my vision went white. I woke on the floor with Selene kneeling nearby, careful not to touch me. Blood ran from my nose onto the tile. West panel, I managed. The engineer ran. A metallic groan traveled through the building. The chamber temperature began to fall. Then, every fire door slammed shut. Correction event escalated. The system's voice was no longer neutral. It sounded afraid. Host, leave the facility. This event is being controlled externally. By Julian? Secondary manager has acquired partial administrator access. You might have mentioned the second system during orientation. That information was classified. And how is classification working for you? Selene helped the last technician through the emergency hatch. Smoke rolled from a cable conduit. There are still 2 interns in the clean room. I knew. In loop 21, I found them behind a jammed pressure door. In loop 50, I reached them too late. Stay here, I told her. No. Selene. You know the route. I know the override codes. We go together. There was no time to argue. We wrapped wet emergency cloths over our mouths and entered the smoke. The clean room door had lost power. Selene opened the manual keypad while I crawled beneath the smoke toward the auxiliary breaker. A memory hit me with such force that for 1 second I saw 2 corridors. The current one and loop 50, where flames consumed the ceiling and Selene screamed my name from the other side. I froze. Her hand appeared in my peripheral vision, but did not grab me. May I? She asked. Even in a burning laboratory, she remembered. I nodded. She held my wrist, not my hand, and the 2 corridors became 1. We restored the breaker, released the interns, and reached the emergency stairs before the cable conduit exploded. The blast threw us against the wall. Selene shielded one intern with her body. I shielded the other. No one died. Outside, ambulances filled the loading yard. The employees counted one another under the rain. 17 people who had died in other loops stood alive before me. Narrative deviation, 31.9%. Selene sat on the back of an ambulance while a medic wrapped her burned forearm. She looked at the rescued interns, then at me. You knew every step. Most of them. And you still came. They never hurt me. You came for me, too. I did not answer. The lights of the ambulance reflected in her wet blue eyes. How many times did I leave you inside? Once. How many times did you come back for me? Every time. She turned away as if I had struck her. Do not make that into romance, I said. It was conditioning. The system trained me to prioritize you because I believed saving you was the road home. Was it only the system? That question frightened me more than the fire. I stood. Your investigator should examine the central controller. Julian caused the blackout. Rowan, I need sleep. She let me leave. The next morning, Asterion's audit found a foreign control package embedded in the laboratory network. Its code had no author and used a language none of the engineers recognized. I recognized the shape of every command. It resembled the blue symbols of my system interface. Selene asked me to meet her at a public park rather than an office. She chose an open bench, arrived without guards, and kept several feet between us. The code disappeared while our analyst was copying it, she said. His written notes remained. Digital information resets. Physical information sometimes survives. Like your notebook. Yes. I moved the investigation offline. Paper records, mechanical cameras, handwritten access logs. Julian cannot alter all of them at once. He will notice. I want him to. She opened a paper bag and handed me a new phone. This has no connection to Asterion. If you receive another threat, photograph it with an instant camera and call this number. You have become terrifyingly practical. I had a good teacher. Apparently, he repeated the lesson 99 times. I looked at her. She did not smile. Another memory returned, she said. A courtroom. You were accused of selling patient data. I had evidence that could have helped you, but releasing it would have exposed Asterion to a lawsuit. I waited. You were convicted before I made a decision. I remembered Loop 41. 18 months in prison. A reset on the morning of my appeal. Was the memory accurate? She asked. Yes. I am sorry. You said apologies were not enough in your dream, didn't you? Yes. Then why repeat one? Because not apologizing would protect me from shame. You should not have to protect me too. She removed an envelope from her bag. I tensed before she slid it across the bench. It was not another photograph. It was a signed transfer, returning my original Asterion shares, including the income accumulated during our marriage. I said I did not want money. It is not compensation. It was yours before the mission placed you beside me.
If you leave this world, decide what happens to it yourself.
You believe me now?
I believe that you believe every word. The rest I am proving.
That distinction was intelligent. It was also the first trust she offered that did not require blind faith. Keep the shares in escrow, I said. If Asterion survives Founders Night, transfer them to the employee trust. You still think the company may not survive? In 32 loops, it did not. The system attacked before I finished the sentence. I doubled over, but Selene remained where she was until I lifted one hand. She moved closer. May I touch you? I nodded. Her arms supported my shoulders while the pain passed. No demand, no dramatic embrace, just enough pressure to keep me from hitting the pavement. When I could breathe again, she released me immediately. 32, she whispered, and I still chose it over you. Usually. Then this time, I will make a different choice. Do not destroy your company to prove you care.
17 people nearly died last night. Asterion is not a romantic prop.
I know. Saving the company and freeing you are both my responsibilities. I refuse to accept a choice designed by someone else. For a moment, she sounded like the woman I had tried to reach in my first life. Not the heroine the system described, but the person beneath the role. My new phone rang. The caller ID displayed my own number. When I answered, Julian said, "You saved the laboratory. Impressive. Let us see whether you can save her reputation." Every screen surrounding the park lit at once. News alerts spread across them. Confidential files had been uploaded to the public network. Medical records, security footage, and edited audio from previous loops. In the recordings, Selene ordered my detention, threatened witnesses, and approved illegal experiments. Some scenes were false. Others had truly happened in worlds that no longer existed. The headline read, "Asterion CEO tortured her husband for years."
People around us began turning toward the silver-haired woman on the bench. Selene stared at the screens, her face drained of color. Julian spoke softly through the phone. "The public does not care which lifetime committed the crime. Shall we see whether Rowan defends you after everything you did?" I ended the call. Within minutes, the park filled with reporters. Selene's security team tried to form a path to the car, but she raised one hand. "Do not push anyone," she ordered. "We answer once, then we leave." A microphone appeared in front of her. "Mrs. Voss, did you imprison your husband?" Another reporter shouted. "Are the medical records authentic? Did Asterion conduct illegal neural experiments?" Selene looked at me. She could have denied everything. Most of the evidence came from erased timelines and could never survive normal examination. She could call it a deep fake and probably win. "Some files are fabricated," she said. "Some show events I do not consciously remember. But I have reason to believe my husband experienced them." The crowd became louder. "Until an independent investigation determines the truth, I am stepping aside as chief executive and chairwoman of Asterion Robotics. I will surrender my devices and records. I will not use the company to defend my private conduct." I stared at her. The board had not forced her out. Julian had expected her to cling to power, making every accusation look credible. Instead, she gave investigators the one thing powerful people almost never surrendered willingly: access. "Mrs. Voss," a reporter asked, "are you admitting guilt?" "I am admitting responsibility to find the truth, even if I dislike it." She turned to me. "Rowan, you do not owe me a defense. Say whatever you need to say." 99 loops pressed against my ribs. I remembered her refusing my calls, signing detention orders, believing Julian. I also remembered the laboratory workers standing alive in the rain because she trusted one impossible instruction. "The files do not come from this timeline," I said.
The reporters fell silent from confusion rather than respect. Someone is combining authentic records with manufactured evidence. I will cooperate with the investigation, but I will not turn 99 tragedies into entertainment for the person who caused them. Are you defending your wife? No, I am defending the truth. Those are not the same thing. Selene's eyes shone, but she kept her expression steady. As security led us away, the system displayed a new message. Target affection, 87%. I had not checked that number in years. Remove the meter, I said silently. Affection tracking is essential to mission completion. It is essential to treating a person like a vending machine. Remove it. Host request denied. I tore the system window out of my vision with my hand. It shattered into blue fragments, then reassembled at the edge of my sight. Selene noticed the motion. What happened? My employer and I are having a disagreement about performance metrics. Can you resign? I have attempted to resign from everything. We took separate cars. That mattered too. After someone threw a bottle through Selene's car window, I allowed her to stay in my apartment for one night. She arrived with one suitcase and no assistance. I gave her the bedroom and took the sofa. At midnight, I found her sitting on the kitchen floor with the black notebook open around her. New memories had appeared in her handwriting. The convoy warning she ignored, the gala she refused to leave, and Loop 99 when she trusted a recording over my proof. Selene touched that final line. I remember his face. Your face. Do not read more tonight. Why? You carried these memories alone, and they broke me. Sharing damage is not the same as repairing it. She closed the notebook. Then tell me how to repair it. You cannot repair 99 lives or earn forgiveness through one sacrifice. Her voice shook. I know. I leaned against the counter. Then why are you still refusing the divorce? At first, because I was afraid, she said. The moment you stopped needing me, I wanted to hold tighter. That was not love, it was panic. Then I thought, if I solved the system and protected you, you would have to reconsider. That was a transaction. Now I am refusing only until Founders Night, because someone intends to kill you before the hearing. After that, I will sign. The promise of her signature should have felt like victory. Instead, the room seemed colder. You changed your mind, I said. No, I finally understood the promise. You asked for freedom, not a test you had to pass. She stood and placed the black notebook in my hands. Keep this tonight. If I forget again, do not let me use forgetting as innocence. Then she went to the bedroom and closed the door. The system appeared. Target affection, 94%. I told you to remove it. Warning, target emotional state is approaching route completion. Maintain proximity and initiate reconciliation. No. Failure to complete the route before Founders Night will result in deletion. Then delete me. The interface flickered. For the first time, the system had no prepared response. At 3 in the morning, someone slid a card beneath the door. It bore Asterion's gold seal and an address beneath the old manufacturing district. On the back, Julian had written, "If you want the original archive, come alone." Obvious trap, Selene said. Extremely. We should go. That is not what people usually do with obvious traps. The original archive may explain why the system chose us. She arranged police backup. At sunrise, we entered the abandoned Asterion factory, where Julian waited beside an experimental server and 2 guards. I said, come alone, he told me. We are still legally one household, Selene replied. He came alone with marital property. I looked at her. That may be the most romantic abuse of tax law I have ever heard. Julian did not appreciate the joke. He activated the server. The screens showed 99 versions of Asterion, Selene, and me. Some worlds ended in fire. Others continued just long enough for Selene to discover the truth after my death. She covered her mouth. This is the emotional archive, Julian said. Every betrayal, reconciliation, and death trained the system. Rowan was never brought here to win. My blue interface appeared without being summoned. Do not listen. Secondary manager is presenting corrupted information. Julian laughed. Ask it why new evidence appeared whenever you approached success. I already knew. There was never a winning route, I said. The system remained silent. Selene looked from the archive to me. It needed you to keep trying. Hope produced better data than despair, Julian said. Then Rowan detached, you pursued him, and the archive destabilized. Then why help the system? Selene asked. Because when the 100th loop resets, I inherit administrator access. I can remove every limitation from this world. Illness, poverty, death, editable variables. And how many people disappear during the reset? Copies disappear. The useful world remains. Selene's expression became colder than I had ever seen it. They are not copies to themselves. Julian shrugged. Neither were the other 99 versions of you, yet here you stand. He touched the server. The screens changed to a countdown. Founder's Night Reset, 61 hours. At midnight during Asterion's gala, the quantum battery will merge the archive and rewrite this timeline. Cooperate and leave cleanly, or resist and let the merge tear through every memory. Selene took one step toward the server. The guards blocked her. Destroying this machine will stop it, she said. Temporarily. The active core has already been installed inside Asterion Tower. This is only a mirror. So the gala was not just a deadline. It was a power source. Julian turned to me. There is one more thing you should see. The screen displayed my original world. My old apartment remained empty. On a desk sat a framed photograph of my parents. The date on the computer showed that only 12 days had passed there. My chest tightened. Complete the route, Julian said, and you can return tonight. You do not need to wait for court. Raise her affection 6 more points. Kiss her. Promise to stay. The system will accept the ending. Selene looked at the screen, then at me. She walked forward before the guards could react and stood close enough that I could see the pale reflection of the archive in her eyes. Do you want to go home? She asked. Yes. It was the cruelest, honest answer I had ever given her. Selene nodded. Then go. Julian smiled. She continued. But you will not lie to get there. I will not let this machine turn another feeling into a transaction. Her fist struck the emergency alarm mounted on the server frame. Sirens erupted. Fire shutters dropped between Julian and the exit. The investigator had remotely activated the factory's old safety system. Selene grabbed my sleeve. Run. We escaped through a loading passage as police entered the front. Julian did not follow. By the time officers reached the server room, he and the archive had vanished through an access tunnel. But we had what we needed, the location of the active core and the exact time of reset. Asterion's board refused to cancel Founder's Night. Julian's allies refused to cancel the gala, using hundreds of guests as shields. Claiming that a supernatural reset was hidden inside the battery would only get us arrested, so we planned around the building blueprints. We let the gala begin, I said. Selene goes on stage and makes the launch announcement. I enter through the service level during the applause. No, Selene said. I object to the part where you enter the unstable core alone. I know the route, and your habit is sacrificing yourself before asking for help. It also got you killed 99 times. I pointed at the blueprint. If both of us disappear from the ballroom, Julian knows. The public also expects me to answer for the leaked records. I will. Before the demonstration, I will disclose the audit, my resignation, and Julian's manipulation. While every camera is focused on me, you reach the core. Then I join you. You may lose the company permanently. The company is already being used as a weapon. Employees can rebuild a business. They cannot rebuild erased lives. There was no romance in her decision. That made it believable. We spent 2 days preparing backups, overrides, and evacuation routes. Selene sold shares to fund employee protection, transferred voting control to the worker trust, and sealed her testimony with the court. She did not ask me to notice any of it. Before Founder's Night, I returned to the nearly empty penthouse. The coffee machine remained on the kitchen counter. Beside it lay every divorce application she had collected from me. The boardroom copy, the chicken bucket copy, the flour container copy, and 29 others. Each one was signed. My breath caught. Selene entered wearing a simple black gown for the gala, her silver hair pinned back. They are not filed yet. The hearing is tomorrow. But I wanted you to know I will not change my mind. I lifted the laminated form. You signed this one too? It seemed important. It is waterproof. Naturally. For the first time, we both laughed. It erased nothing. It was one honest moment between two exhausted people. Celine's smile faded. If something happens tonight, your signed copy is inside the courthouse file. You will be free whether I survive or not. Do not turn the divorce into another sacrifice. I am not. I am respecting your decision. She offered her hand, palm up. May I ask one selfish thing? You may ask. Walk into the gala beside me. We can separate at the stairs. I looked at her hand. Then I placed mine in it. The cameras exploded with light when we entered Asterion Tower. Selene released my hand at the ballroom stairs. See you at the core, she said. That is a terrible sentence for a married couple. Tomorrow we will be divorced. You learn quickly. She went to the stage. I disappeared through the service corridor. At 11:36, Selene interrupted the board chairman's launch speech. Every screen in the tower switched to her live feed. Tonight, I am releasing our independent audit, Selene began. It confirms Julian Mercer's sabotage and confirms that I ignored warnings because I trusted familiarity more than facts. The ballroom erupted. I asked the authorities to investigate me under the same standards as anyone else. My controlling shares now belong to Asterion's employee trust. The board chairman tried to cut her microphone. The employee technicians refused. I reached the underground core at 11:42. The quantum battery stood inside a circular chamber, surrounded by blue light. Julian waited on the platform. Predictable, he said. I have spent 99 lives becoming predictable. Celine's affection reached 99 when she signed the papers. 1 point remains. You could still finish. I asked the system to remove the meter. Because you are afraid of the answer. Because her feelings are not currency. Julian activated the core. The blue interface filled my entire vision. Final route available. Confess love to target. Accept permanent bond. Return home immediately with reward. The ballroom feed showed Selene surrounded by security and hostile directors. She looked directly into the nearest camera. Rowan, she said, knowing I could hear. Do not choose me because a machine threatens you. The system countdown began at 60 seconds. Julian spread his hands. There, she gave you permission to abandon her. Take it. I intend to, after I stop you. I pulled the mechanical shutdown lever. Nothing happened. I learned from the laboratory, Julian said. The manual control is decorative. The core released a pulse, revealing 99 worlds and countless versions of Selene, each holding a different regret. The memories hit her too. On the ballroom screen, Selene fell to her knees. She screamed as 99 lives arrived without order. This is what you wanted, Julian said. Now she understands you. Now she will love you perfectly. Selene's affection meter reached 100. Mission complete, the system announced. Portal authorization granted. A white doorway opened beside me. Beyond it was my original apartment. Instead, I turned away from the portal and drove my shoulder into Julian. We crashed against the platform railing. He struck me across the face, then reached for the control panel. You idiot, the door will close. Then stop talking and lose faster. He was stronger than he looked, and far less elegant when angry. We fought between arcs of blue electricity while the countdown continued. At 12 seconds, Selene entered the chamber. She had lost one shoe. Blood marked her temple. Her pale eyes looked unfocused beneath the weight of a century. 99, she whispered. I pushed Julian away. Selene, stay back. I remember all of them. The grief in her voice almost stopped me. Julian used that instant. He struck the emergency lock and sealed the chamber doors. Perfect. The heroine arrived for the final scene. The core countdown reached 5. Selene looked at the open portal, then at the battery controls. If we overload it, what happens? My system answered aloud for the first time. Archive collapse. Portal termination. High probability of structural fire. And the reset? She asked. Cancelled. Julian lunged toward her. I caught him around the waist. Do it! Selene slammed both hands onto the physical bus bars. The quantum battery screamed. Every screen shattered at once. The portal folded into a line of white light and vanished. Julian's red system tore away from his body like burning paper. He reached for it, but the fragments dissolved. No! He shouted. Do you know what you destroyed? Selene pulled the final breaker. A story that should have ended 99 lives ago. The core exploded. Fire rolled across the ceiling. The platform collapsed beneath Julian, dropping him onto the lower maintenance deck where emergency restraints trapped him. Selene and I reached the service tunnel as the chamber's suppression system released freezing gas. Halfway to the stairs, I realized she was no longer behind me. I turned. Selene lay beneath a fallen beam. The system flashed one final warning. Emergency portal restored for host only. Departure window, 30 seconds. White light opened at the end of the tunnel. Home waited on the other side. Selene saw it too. "Go," she said. "Not this time." I ran back. "Rowan, you wanted this for 100 lives. And I still want it." I lifted the beam enough for her to pull free. Heat blistered my hands. "Then why?" "Because leaving you to burn would become life number 101. I refuse to carry another ghost home." The portal closed behind us. We emerged from the tower with the last group of employees at 12:08. Fire consumed the underground core, but the upper floors had been evacuated. No one died. Julian survived. Without his system, he was simply a man with a long record of fraud, sabotage, attempted murder, and an unfortunate amount of recorded boasting. Police arrested him before dawn. Asterion stock collapsed. The board dissolved. Regulators froze Selene's remaining assets during the investigation. She moved out of the penthouse and submitted to questioning without requesting immunity. For once, the consequences did not disappear in a reset. The next morning, we stood at window 7 of the courthouse. Selene placed 99 photographs from the recovered archive on the counter. In every one, I was dead. "You told me this is your 100th life," she said. "You told me I destroyed the other 99. The clerk stopped breathing. Selene pushed a pen toward me. "I will sign. But first, look at me and answer one question. If you hate me enough to cross 100 lifetimes just to escape me, why did you come back when the building was burning?" Now I understood my answer. "Because I do not hate you," I said. "I hate what happened to me. I hate what you chose. I hate the system that kept placing us in the same wound. But hate is not the reason I want to leave." Her eyes filled with tears. "I want to leave because I no longer know which feelings are mine and which were trained into me. I cannot heal while remaining inside the mission. And I will not stay married because guilt made you love me." Selene nodded slowly. "That is fair." She signed the final page. No dramatic kiss, no shredded form, no last-minute refusal. The clerk stamped our divorce certificate. The system appeared one final time. Mission architecture destroyed. Host release authorized. Unclaimed reward balance may be converted into one stable return portal. A white doorway opened beyond the courthouse windows. Selene could not see it, but she saw my expression. "It is here," she said. "Yes." She handed me the black notebook. "Take this, so you never have to wonder whether it was real." I pushed it back. "Keep it, so you never have to pretend it was not." She held the notebook against her chest. "I am not asking you to wait," she said. "I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not even asking whether you still love me. Go home, Rowan. This time, choose yourself." So I did. I stepped through the portal without looking back. 12 days had passed in my original world. My apartment smelled stale. My phone contained 43 work messages and one reminder to pay a parking fine. The bus I had avoided continued along its route. No one knew I had lived 23 years across 100 versions of another life. For the first month, I slept with the lights on. For the second, I attended therapy and discovered that a romance system killed me repeatedly was difficult to enter on an insurance form. I returned to software engineering, but refused every project involving predictive relationship algorithms. Instead, I built safety tools that recorded how automated systems changed decisions. It was not heroic. It was useful. 6 months later, I incorporated a small company. I called it 101 because the next life should belong to the person living it, not the story that came before. I did not wait for Selene. I dated no one. I learned to cook, badly. I bought a coffee machine that obeyed neither me nor marital law. I kept one divorce application in a drawer, not because I needed it, but because throwing it away felt like allowing someone else to decide the ending. 1 year after I returned, my assistant entered my office holding a silver envelope. "A potential investor is downstairs," she said. "No appointment. She says she crossed an unreasonable distance to meet you." My hands went still over the keyboard. Name? Selene Voss. She stood in the lobby wearing an inexpensive white suit.
Her silver hair was shorter, ending at her shoulders, and exhaustion had softened the sharp perfection I remembered. She carried one suitcase, the black notebook, and the laminated divorce application. No entourage, no company car, no title. "How?" I asked. Astarion's employees rebuilt the quantum lab after the investigations ended. I spent a year reconstructing the portal from the physical notes. My shares funded the research. The worker trust owns the patents. "You gave up everything to come here?" "No. I used what remained to finish one responsibility. There is a difference." She handed me the laminated form. Across the back, she had written the list: therapy, restitution fund for injured employees, full testimony against Julian, 12 months without contacting Rowan, no expectation of reconciliation. At the bottom was one final line: "Ask him for coffee once. Accept either answer." I looked up. Selene's hands were trembling, but she did not reach for me. "I am not your wife," she said. "You are not my mission. I have no company here, no leverage, and no system telling me what you feel. I came because after 1 year with every memory, I still wanted the chance to meet you as myself." "And if I say no?" Her eyes reddened, but she smiled. "Then I will find a hotel, apply for a work visa, and build a life that does not require your forgiveness." That was the answer I needed. Not a sacrifice, not a threat, not another choice designed to trap me. Just an honest request with an open door behind it. I picked up my coat. "One coffee," I said. "This is not a marriage. It is not forgiveness. It is one conversation." Selene nodded. "One conversation." We walked to the small cafe across the street. She ordered black coffee with 1 sugar. I ordered tea because after 100 lives, I was allowed to change. For the first time, we did not discuss affection points, billion-dollar companies, destined rivals, or who owed whom a happy ending. She told me she hated cooking, but had learned to make one acceptable soup. I told her my coffee machine had declared independence. She laughed, and the sound did not trigger a system notification. When the bill arrived, Selene reached for it. I reached inside my coat first. Her face went pale. "Please tell me that is not another divorce application." I pulled out a Cathay coupon. "Buy 1 drink, get the second free," I said. "Some habits improve when you leave the loop." She laughed until she cried. I did not promise her a future that day. She did not ask for one. But when we left the Cathay, we walked in the same direction, with enough space between us for either person to turn away. Neither of us did.